Be the best to finish the palace windows with stunning paints of stained glass. Do you want to learn how to play Azul stained glass of Sintra?
In this video, we're going to take you through the full rules for this game. You don't need to know how to play basic Azul first. And if you stay tuned till the end, hopefully you can pick up some tips and strategies along the way. Coming up. Hi, it's Tarrant.
And Stella from Meeple University, bringing you a variety of quality board game videos. On this channel we do a lot of overview, review, playthrough, vlog, and how to play, just like this one.
So if you're new here, please consider subscribing and do hit the bell to be notified of when we post new videos.
Now let's get to the rules of Azul Stained Glass of Sintra, game by Meeple University, published by Next Move Games.
Azul the Stained Glass of Sintra is a sequel to Meeple University's 2018 game Azul, which won the Spiel des Jahres. As in the original Azul, players will be drawing tiles of 5 different colours from a common supply. But whereas in Azul players were tiling a Portuguese palace wall, in the Stained Glass of Sintra, players are filling up stained glass windows. Players will be trying to fill these strips with matching colours of tiles, and will score points every time they complete a strip. The game plays over 6 rounds and the player with the highest score wins. To set up the game, first each player takes a window tile in his or her colour. All players should collectively decide whether to use the A side or the B side, and this will influence which end of game scoring rules you use. Each player then takes the 8 window strips in his or her colour, shuffles them and flips them, and then deals them out at random into these 8 slots on the player's player board. One of your strips may show 2 grey diamonds with a circle in it. If it does, flip that strip over to the other side. The dots must start face down. At the top of each strip you'll notice 5 colours, and these are the colours on the opposite side of that strip. Finally, take the glazier meeple in your colour and place it above your leftmost strip. On the main scoring board, each player places a cube at 0 on the score track and at the top step of the broken glass track. Dip into the bag of tiles, draw 1 tile at random and place it on step 1 of this track. Then find 1 tile of each of the 5 colours and then randomly place them onto the remaining steps on this track. This is the bonus track and it tells you what colour of tile is going to be worth bonus points in which round. Then set up the factory tiles. 5 in a circle for a 2-player game, 7 in a 3-player game, or 9 in a 4-player game. Place the first player marker in the centre, then dip into the bag of tiles and place 4 tiles at random onto each of the factory tiles. You're now ready to play. On each turn in Azul the Stained Glass of Sintra, a player has 2 options. Either to take tiles from the factory, or to move his or her glazier to the leftmost space of the player board. If the glazier is already on the left, then the player has no option but to take tiles from the factory. Taking tiles from the factory works the same way that it does in the base game of Azul. The player either chooses 1 factory tile, chooses 1 colour of tile, and then takes all of the tiles of that colour off before pushing any that are left into the middle of the circle. When taking this option, a player may end up taking anywhere between 1 and 4 tiles. The alternative is to choose 1 colour of tile and then take all tiles of that colour from the centre of the table. Whoever is the first player to take this option in a given round must also take the first player tile. This player will be first player in the next round, but as a penalty moves 1 step down on the broken glass track, and this will be worth negative victory points at the end of the game. After taking the tiles, the player must immediately place them somewhere onto his or her pattern strips. The tiles can only go onto a single pattern strip, can only go onto spaces which match the colour of the tile, and can only go on strips that are either beneath or to the right of the current position of the glazier. So in this case, the only place these 2 blue tiles could legally go would be onto this pattern strip. Wherever you place the tiles, move your glazier to that pattern strip. This closes off more of your strips to tiles until you take the action to move back to the left. It may occur that you end up with a drawer of tiles which cannot legally all fit anywhere on your board. For example, here drawing 2 white tiles, the player can legally place only 1. Then any leftover pieces are dropped into the discard tower, and the player moves 1 step down on the broken glass track for each tile. Once again, this will be worth negative points at the end of the game. When placing tiles, if the player has this strip with the 2 wild spaces face up, any colour of tile may be placed into those spaces. They do not have to match. When a player completes all 5 steps in one of their strips, go through the following process of scoring. Firstly, check to see what the current round's bonus colour is. Then score 1 point for each matching colour. In this place, the player would gain 3 points. Then choose one of the tiles to keep and discard the other 4, putting them into the discard tower. When playing with the A side of the board, it does not matter what colour you keep. When playing with the B side, you'll try to keep as many of one colour as you can. Next, move the tile down to the topmost available space in these 2. So the first time you complete a strip, you'll place it here. This has a flip icon, and this reminds you to flip over the pattern strip corresponding to that location. If it were the second time you had completed that strip, you would simply discard that strip and remove it for the rest of the game. Finally, count the score. The score for completing a strip is equal to the number printed under that column plus the numbers printed under any other columns that have at least 1 completed strip. So here, the player scores 3 plus 2 plus 1 is 6 points. Here, the player would score 4 plus 3 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1 points for a total of 13. And here, the player would score only a single point. As such, there is a fair bit of strategy in timing your scores. Completing strips to the right is more risky because on a subsequent turn, there are fewer places where you can put the tiles you've collected. But completing them early in the game allows you to score that point multiple times when other strips get completed. Tiles at the left have a lower risk to complete, but you will not score their points multiple times as the game goes on. And holding back on completing a strip until you've got the right bonus round can be worth a lot of extra points as well. As mentioned before, instead of taking tiles in a given round, a player can move his or her glazier meeple back to the leftmost remaining space in order to open up all of the strips again for later tile placement. However, a player does not have this option if the glazier is already in the leftmost position. A player cannot pass his or her turn, and so the yellow player in this situation would be forced to take all of these yellow tiles, placing as many as possible onto the remaining strips before dropping the rest into the broken glass tower and losing a lot of points for it. Timing your actions to avoid this is a key part of the strategy. Once all of the factory tiles and the centre of the table are empty, the round is over. A player's player board area does not change. Any tiles stay where they were, as does the glazier. Refill each of the factory tiles with 4 new tiles drawn from the bag. If the bag runs out of tiles, empty the discard tower back into the bag, and then keep drawing. Then discard the top tile from the bonus track, putting it into the container, signifying that you've gone to a new round and you have a new colour of bonus tile. Play then proceeds, starting with the player who took the first player token in the last round. After the 6th round is complete, the game is over and proceed to end of game scoring. To start with, each player gains 1 extra victory point for every 3 tiles remaining on the pattern strips. In this case, the player would get 2 points. Then, each player loses points based on how far down the broken glass track he or she has gone. So yellow here would lose 10 points. Red would lose 8, and grey would lose 1. Note that if a player ever reaches the negative 18 step during the game, deduct 18 points immediately and then move the player's cube straight back to the top of the track. Then score the end of game bonus based on this bottom tile and this will depend on whether you pick the A side or the B side. For the A side, count the number of tiles that surrounds each of these 4 ornaments printed on the board. For example, this one has 1, this one has 4, this one has 3, and this one has 0. Score each of those 4 ornaments based on this track. So 0 or 1 surrounding tiles is worth no points, 2 tiles is worth 3, 3 is worth 6, and 4 is worth 10. So in this case, the player would get 16 bonus points. If you're playing with the B side, each player first counts up the number of columns with both tiles present. Alternatively, this is the number of pattern strips you've removed, so in this case 4. Then choose your most plentiful colour of tile and count up how many of them you have. In this case it's blue, which there is 4 of. Multiply these two numbers together and gain that many bonus points. So here 4 times 4 is 16, and the player gains 16 points. The player with the highest score wins. In the event of a tie, whoever's lost the fewest points on the broken glass track wins, and if still tied, victory is shared.
And that's how to play Azul Stained Glass of Sintra. We hope that you enjoyed the video and we hope that you enjoy playing.
If you'd like to learn the rules to the original Azul, we also have a how to play video for that, so you can click on the link in the description below to check that out.
If you enjoyed this video, please let us know by clicking the like button. Write your questions or feedback in the comment sections below. You can also join our Facebook group Meeple University Community to share your love for board games.
And finally, if you'd like to be among the first notified on what's new from Meeple University, please consider subscribing to our channel. You can click on the Meeple up in the corner to do so, and do hit the bell to be notified of our new videos.
Until next time!